And now that I've had the opportunity to spend some time with you, I can see why. So thank you for welcoming here and for being so generous with your time. To your entire cabinet, especially to my counterpart, Minister Miano, thank you, Rebecca. We had a wonderful meeting yesterday, and I look forward to working with you. And to all of you, the businesses that are here, thank you for your time, and most importantly, thank you for your commitment to Kenya. Thank you for your investment in this great country. President Biden asked me to lead this mission because he's all in on Africa. I asked him, Mr. President, what is my message in Kenya? He said, the message in Kenya is that Africans are shaping the global economy, culture, and politics. The narrative around Africa has changed completely. It is no longer the tired, false narrative that it's a continent of challenges. The narrative is that it is a continent of opportunity and solutions. And our challenges, our ambitions, our futures are linked as between the United States and Kenya. And I will tell you, and I believe this deeply, when we work together, we can create a prosperous and secure future for the people of our country and for the people of Africa. And that's why I'm here. That is my mission. That is why I am here. And central to this work that we do together is commerce. Commerce creates jobs, creates wealth, creates opportunity, creates prosperity. Business, trade, investment, that's the centerpiece of our partnerships with the region. Can you hear that rain? A sign of our prosperity together. But I really believe this. I really believe when we create economic opportunity for the people of Kenya and the people of the United States, there is no limit to what we can do together. So I have to say, anyone who knows me, I'm really not much of a diplomat. I'm all about concrete outcomes. What can we get done together? So I'm thrilled with the results we're already seeing. We announced 7 exciting private sector deals and commitments just yesterday at the Digital Transformation with Africa Pavilion. We announced commitments from the NBA, Bayless Emerging Markets, Cisco, Pfizer, Qualcomm, Rendeavor, and more broadly, last year, the U.S. government supported and helped to close over 550 new deals worth almost $15 billion in two-way trade and investment between our countries. That is exciting. By the way, we're just getting going. There is so much more to do. In the government, we're going to do all we can. I'm joined here today by USTDA and the US DFC. We're making loans that'll support sustainable fishing in Lake Victoria, finance construction of a new recycling center, enable assembly of electric buses in Nairobi, and expand production of medical oxygen, all creating jobs and wealth and opportunity for the people of Kenya. Also yesterday, Director Ibang of TDA announced 2 new grants that I find so exciting to support the expansion of semiconductor fabrication in Kenya and the construction of a fiber network along the railway. And I know, President Ruto, these are your priorities: digital connectivity for everybody and semiconductor manufacturing in this country, and we're proud to support your priorities. So I don't know, how am I doing competing with this? I don't know. I just want to close by thanking President Ruto again, thanking you for hosting me, thank you for being so gracious and generous with your time and your team's time and all the work that we will do together I do believe that you're a visionary. You have a vision for your people. You have a vision that the digital transformation of Africa begins with Kenya. The digital transformation of Africa is led by Kenya. The economic revitalization of Africa will be led by Kenya. And I want you to know the United States of America, our government, and our private sector are here to support you achieve that vision. So thank you, and here's to our continued success and partnership.
Thank you. One more round of applause, please. And perhaps with that rain pounding, this is how it felt to be Noah's Ark. Next, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, Ms. Rebecca Miano, to make her remarks, and in turn, welcome His Excellency, the President, for his keynote speech. Welcome, ma'am.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, my friend Gina Raimondo, Ambassador Meg, all ladies and gentlemen in the room, it is now my singular honor to welcome our brilliant and visionary President, to welcome the delegates and to make his remarks. May we be upstanding. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Minister Gina Raimondo, Excellencies, honorable members, distinguished delegates, this is yet another opportunity when we congregate in this very important occasion of AmCham. Earlier, I mentioned to my sister Raimondo that we are a deeply religious country, and rain is godly. So you couldn't have had a better endorsement of your visit and what you are saying than from the gods. So take pride in the fact that it's raining, and rain comes with a lot of blessing, and we have a lot of attachment to rain. I take this opportunity to warmly welcome all the delegates to Nairobi for the 2024 AmCham Business Summit, which is the 4th edition of the U.S. East Africa Trade and Investment Forum Summit that is first and foremost a premier gathering and first took place in 2018. Your presence here is a strong affirmation of the momentum we have built over the course of 3 previous summits, and of the fact that we are not only making steady progress in raising Kenya's appeal as a trading partner and investment destination, but also that this very fact is eliciting attention and favorable responses in the right places, both locally here in Kenya and broadly globally. This matters a great deal to us for the reason that the government of Kenya made a solemn commitment to eradicate unemployment, poverty, hunger, disease, and inequality by embarking on a radical plan for job and wealth creation under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, as many Kenyans sitting here would know. The bottom-up economic transformation agenda is premised on the intentional creation of a conducive environment for the private sector to invest in attractive opportunities in various value chains and to participate more directly in implementation of programs and projects under public-private partnerships and other economic arrangements. This is to say that the private sector is vital and, in fact, indispensable to the successful transformation of Kenya under our plan. Last year's summit, which was attended by more than 1,200 delegates from the US, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, facilitated many companies to strike deals which enabled them to initiate or expand their presence in Kenya and our region in East Africa. Consequently, Kenya was able to unveil investments from mass, intimates, mega, Coast Apparels, UAL, Best Corporation, Coniho Elastics, NextGen, and CCI Global, who are now major drivers of Kenya-US trade. At the same summit, 11 US government grants to the private sector were announced, aimed at integrating over 1 million farmers into existing value chains, totaling more than US dollars 5.6 million. Additionally, 10 collaborative development initiatives between the government of Kenya and the US private sector were announced, intended to enable 4,700 entrepreneurs to access capital for activities benefiting close to 110 farmers in different counties in the Republic of Kenya. All these encouraging accomplishments made at last year's summit were as a result of productive collaboration between the government of Kenya and the US Embassy, led by my elder sister, Meg. We all agree that we have difficulty whether she represents Kenya or she represents the US. And we have settled that she represents all of us. It was also collaboration with the US Department of Commerce and the regional AmCham, such as AmCham Uganda, AmCham Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and Ethiopia. The 2024 summit's theme, Catalyzing the Future of US-East Africa Trade and Investment, intentionally draws on the previous editions to develop a strategic platform for commercial advocacy, which will strengthen bilateral trade relations between Kenya and the US, as well as between our region and the US. The consistent strengthening of Kenya-US ties and that of our region is exemplified by the steady growth in the value of bilateral trade, especially its acceleration between 2015 and 2022, when Kenya's negative trade deficit narrowed significantly from Kenya shillings 85 billion in 2015 to Kenya shillings 13 billion in 2022. It is our intention that that gap will shortly close. And the next time we have this occasion, hopefully in the coming years, we will be talking a different language. The pace of growth in Kenya-US trade affirms the vast opportunity that exists for growth of Kenyan exports and expansion of their variety, with very real possibility of broadening a positive balance of trade. This ambition and the immense role of the private sector in it informs the vision of a new trade and investment arrangement with the US under the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership, STEEP. And we all know that there is acceleration of negotiations and collaboration in that space so that we can unlock the tremendous potential that it portends, not just for Kenya, not just for our region, but for the US as well. For some time now, Kenya has been focused on pursuing trade relations with the US beyond AGOA. Consequently, we entered negotiations to develop a new framework to anchor bilateral trade and thus launched STEEP. which is aimed at enhancing our engagements in trade and investment and facilitating high standard commitments in a wide range of sectors. It is our hope that the ongoing negotiations on outstanding issues will be conducted in a few months to enable us to embark on the implementation of STEEP, possibly by the second half of this year. I am very happy that the ministry responsible for commerce in Kenya and the US are thinking of an MOU and a relationship between the two ministries so that we can leverage on it to do more, even as we look forward to not just the renewal of AGOA, which we are crossing our fingers, and Raimondo has given me some ideas on what we need to do to get it over the line. The strong presence of major US investments and their contribution to a broad variety of sectors, both in Kenya and throughout our region in East Africa, is undeniable. US companies in Kenya continue to excel through effective partnerships with both the government as well as local private sector firms to implement diverse projects and enhance access to energy and power, develop infrastructure, create state-of-the-art manufacturing plants, develop local supply and value chains, and support Kenya's digital transformation. You are invited to seriously consider and engage with a wide range of investment opportunities available in various agro-industrial value chains and other sectors that my Ministry of Trade will point. These opportunities are available in numerous agro-industrial value chains to produce medical commodities and biomedical supplies locally, deliver digital infrastructure and last-mile fiber optic connectivity, construct 250,000 new housing units annually over the next 5 years, and develop our micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, a whole ecosystem of thousands of enterprises. More critically, I invite you to also consider the intentional measures we have taken as a country to develop the necessary conditions for private sector growth, including creating a stable, transparent, and predictable business environment. Our achievements and progress in this regard are reflected in Kenya's steady rise in various global indices and rankings that measure the quality of investment climate and business environment. We have not stopped working on our institutional frameworks through legislative and regulatory interventions, as well as capacity building and effective coordination of stakeholders and strategies to elevate our investment profile. I give a commitment here for the benefit of our existing and incoming investors that the business environment and the business climate in Kenya will keep getting better and better because we will not stop making improvements. I have had extensive engagements with our own private sector. We have discussed extensively some of the issues they think government can do better. And I say so because, especially because during my engagements with a number of industry leaders and major players, the issue of our regulatory posture was underscored as an important concern. We have delivered on this space. We had 9 items that we discussed with the private sector here at AmCham last year. We've delivered on each and every one of them. And I want to say every investment to us must make sense to both the investor and it must make sense to all our interventions in the trade and investment space. I also invite you to consider several other advantages which commend Kenya as your trade and investment destination of choice. To begin with, our location is an enduring strategic advantage that is difficult to beat. Our situation on Africa's Indian Ocean coast gives us immense reach and makes us the gateway to East Africa as well as the Southern and Central Africa region. Kenya is highly committed to regional and Pan-African economic integration and is a member of the East African Community, the Common Markets for East and Central Africa, and of course, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which confers preferential access to markets of 350 million people in EAC, 500 million people in COMESA, and 1.4 billion people market in ACFTA. Our geostrategic advantage has been complemented by a seamless network of highly developed roads, rail, port, and air infrastructure, and the fact that our country is a landing site to 6 undersea fiber cables, the only region in Africa. We have the potential to facilitate 24-hour operations in order to serve different time zones through efficient transport and communication infrastructure. A number of tech giants and business process outsourcing concerns are already seizing this advantage to great benefit. Kenya, as you all know, is a youthful country, growing younger every year. With a median age of 19.9, we have millions of well-educated, highly skilled, motivated young people ready to work for and with investors in every sector, from agribusiness to banking and finance, ICT, fintech, transport and manufacturing, construction and management, and administration, and everything in between. I will tell you that we spend $5 billion every year in the education of the Kenyan workforce. And we are proud of that investment, because if there is one asset we have as a nation, it is our human capital. Kenya is also served by a national grid that is 93% green, with geothermal, hydro, and wind power leading the power mix. By 2032, which is just a couple of years away from now, probably 8 years, we shall have a 100% clean grid to power sustainable growth. It is therefore no accident that every major global brand and every leading multilateral institution and philanthropic organization wishing to build a regional and African footprint starts in Kenya, or that Nairobi is the regional and global headquarters of many leading organizations. Any organization, any business that pays attention to sustainability must look out for where renewable energy is a factor. It is not an accident that Kenya is the cradle of cutting-edge digital innovations in fintech and other sectors, where mobile money was born right here in Kenya. We have the necessary conditions for trade and investment to thrive, enable our economy to conquer new territory, and break new records in time and time again. This is why we have laid down a comprehensive array of measures to leverage our competitive advantage and drive growth through robust fiscal, infrastructural, and regulatory measures. A number of firms represented here will already be familiar with our Special Economic Zones program, which is a convergence of optimal investment promotion, export processing, and other forms of facilitation to enable investors generate maximum value from their operations in Kenya. I had the occasion to visit some of these enterprises in the last few days, and we have a phenomenal relationship. The Special Economic Zones program represents a dedicated package of highly appealing fiscal, infrastructural, procedural, and regulatory incentives which have led to a steady rise in Kenya's global appeal as an investment destination. Attractive tax incentives, high-quality infrastructure, simplified business procedures and regulations, as well as value chain integration and the promotion of expanded market access for goods produced in the zones are some of the compelling features for this competitive incentive package. Many iconic American brands, including Levi's, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Wrangler, are produced in our special economic zones. With the foregoing, it is clear that our regulatory posture is emphatically pro-business. This should be understood as an implicit in all instances where there is doubt or misunderstanding regarding our business regulation or the legal and institutional framework. We are the country that is developing a framework to anchor the emergence of the Amazons and Google and Microsofts of the future under our startup bill, which is currently making its way through Parliament in Kenya. We are also the country which has introduced attractive tax incentives for investors, especially those involved in manufacturing for export. This is why we have been able to engage in fruitful consultations with a number of US and other private sector firms and to give assurance of a predictable tax environment, improved business context, and a regular and regulatory productive government-private sector engagement. This AmCham has given us a number of significant fast engagements, including with Walmart, resulting in 24 exploratory business-to-business meetings with farms involved in the agriculture production sectors like tea, coffee, nuts, and avocados, as well as apparel factories in our EPZs. Although exploratory, Walmart's foray into our country and region is indicative of the potential and operating environment we live in today. When I had an engagement with a representative of Walmart, I could see great opportunity, not just for Kenya, but for our region. It is also why we have been able to engage the American Tower Corporation, Microsoft, and Abo Healthcare about deepening their partnership with local public and private sector organizations. Likewise, Marathon Digital have been ushered to consult with the National Treasury in Kenya on our cryptocurrency regime and to the Ministry of Energy to discuss its energy needs in connection with cryptocurrency mining here in Kenya. There is so much more to say about the progress and achievements, power and impact, as well as the presence and the future promise of a strong trade and investment relationship between Kenya and the US over the course of its historical development from a Goa renewal and onward into post-STEEP era. This is a strong testament of the vast transformative possibilities that exist in an expanded and comprehensive strategic understanding between the US, East Africa concerning trade and investment. This AmCham, ladies and gentlemen, has also fulfilled its thematic purpose of setting the pace for the rapid emergence of the new future we have envisioned together. It is time for us to proceed in confidence into this new paradigm, where you go, think Kenya. Where you think trade and investment, think about Kenya, because Kenya means business. What is more, Kenya is open for business, East Africa is ready for trade and investment, and Africa is ready for transformation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My very best wishes to all of you, and see you soon. Asante sana.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. A good round of applause for him. Your Excellency, before descending, kindly would like to now usher in the fireside chat. So if I may request humbly that you take the center seat, and I'll also call upon Ambassador Whitman, who's going to moderate this particular session. We may take our seats, please. Let's take our seats. Ambassador, to you.
Great, thank you very much. Another round of applause. That was marvelous. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. President, and then, Madam Secretary, you'll be up next. So, Mr. President, you have a very ambitious economic agenda, which you highlighted a number of elements of. You're looking for job growth, economic growth. Can you give us some insights if you had only 3 or 4 priorities for economic development and growth? You mentioned a number, but what would be your top 4 priorities that you think is unique in some ways to Kenya's competitive advantage?
Thank you very much, Ambassador. The 3 primary spaces where we believe we have a competitive, maybe even comparative advantage is in agriculture. There is huge space in agro-processing, enhancing Kenya's productivity. We already are exporting quite a bit, not just to Europe and other destinations, but also to America. That is a space that we believe there is potential, there is opportunity, and we can expand that space. Number 2, we have space in human development. We believe there is huge opportunity of building our human and deploying our excellent human capital globally to serve, to work, and to extend opportunities globally. We have real opportunity in green energy. If there is one space we are very proud of as a country, is the space around sustainability. Any investment, any business, any enterprise that is not thinking sustainability has some homework to do. Because the future is about how we can do it sustainably. And therefore, renewable energy occupies a very central place in how we can do business into the future. And lastly, is the digital space. Every space is tech today. And that is why we believe that technology, the digital space, will help Kenya, will help our region leapfrog the many challenges that we have. We can deliver government services much more efficiently. We can deliver commerce much more efficiently. We can create tremendous opportunity in that space, and we can overcome.
U.S. Leaders Conference, you said there were glaring opportunities for win-wins between the U.S. and Kenya. And I see that clearly with my own eyes on the ground here. Yesterday, I met with a group of female tech executives and entrepreneurs, some from U.S. multinational companies, Microsoft and IBM, some from homegrown companies, M-Pesa. I met with a number of other Kenyan entrepreneurs. And what was clear to me is that by the United States investing more in Kenya, providing digital skills to people in Kenya, we win for sure because it draws us closer and it's more economic opportunity. But of course, Kenya wins. As you just said, it's a young country. So to provide opportunity for the youth, they need skills, they need jobs, they need broadband, they have to be connected. And so I guess last night at the dinner, somebody said to me, do you like the vibe in Kenya? So I love the vibe. And I'm excited to really lean into it and really, quite frankly, Mr. President, show you off a little bit when you come in May for the state visit. Because, the President will be the first African leader hosted by an American president in a long time. It's a historic opportunity.
Since 2008.
Since 2000.
Back to you, Mr. President. You have emerged as one of the great advocates of trying to solve the climate crisis and its impact on all of Africa, not just Kenya. And you launched something at COP28 called Africa's Green Industrial Initiative. And I'd love it if you could tell the audience a little bit about that initiative, how you feel it's going, what the big opportunities are, and maybe what American investors can do to accelerate that most important initiative.
The context of the Africa Green Industrial Initiative is that for a very long time, the narrative around our continent was about trouble, war, conflict, disease, poverty, which was not a correct narrative. And therefore, as leaders in this continent, we made a deliberate decision that though we bear the brunt of climate change with floods, with famine, and all the things that come with it, but it was time to reposition this continent as what it is, a continent of opportunity, tremendous potential, investment opportunity, and renewable energy is one space where we have 60% of the world's renewable energy assets. And therefore, it became necessary for us to use our assets, renewable energy. We have 30%, close to 40% of the world's mineral resources assets, including those that are necessary for energy transition. We have 60% of the world's arable, uncultivated land that can help in sorting out global food security. We have the youngest population. So we have real assets that we can deploy, and that's why we decided it is time to present our continent as a continent of opportunity, and the first phase is in green industrialization. It will not only help decarbonize our continent, it will also help decarbonize the globe. So we are not just providing solutions to African problems, we are also providing solutions to global challenges. And therefore, this Green Africa industrialization is about data centers, green steel, smart agriculture. This is the space that we are providing, and we've worked collaboratively with different countries. We will be having a conversation on Sunday and Monday here in Nairobi with the World Bank so that we can lay priorities in this space for investment and get resources to drive our own development. So the green industrialization space is about using African assets in renewable energy, in mineral resources, in agricultural potential, and using them to drive African growth, but in a sustainable manner.
Just to follow up on that, what do you think, because you launched this at COP28, so it's not been that long, but what do you think the biggest hurdle is towards achieving your vision for the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative? Is it financial investment in the continent? What are the biggest challenges, do you think, about implementing that initiative? This is for you. Oh, sorry, this was you.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, that's okay. I think I was just doing a quick follow-up.
Yes.
Which is, what do you think the biggest challenges are to realizing that vision? You've only been at it for 8 months, since really COP28. But what is, as you've gone along, what have been the biggest challenges to really launching this Africa Green Industrialization Initiative?
The biggest challenge, and that's why I was explaining to you why we have this meeting with the World Bank on Sunday. The biggest challenge is twofold.
Financing?
Yes. The biggest challenge is financing. Because you have opportunity. How do you transit opportunity to investment? So you need both resources from the public, but also you need to mobilize private sector resources. Let me give you an example. We are in the process of concluding this conversation between Microsoft, Kenya, and the UAE on investment in the data center. You need technology, and we are very grateful that America has the best technology. You need investment, and that's why we are working with our friends from the UAE. And you need green energy, and that's why you have Kenya in the equation. So this kind of collaboration that brings together the resource in green energy, technology in what we can find from the US, and investment capital. So we need to get everything together. Technology is going to help us a great deal, and that is why American companies who are here, my sister Gina who is here, we as Kenya and our continent are depending on America to work with us and to deploy their cutting-edge technology, including AI, to unlock the tremendous potential of the assets we have in our continent. We think that collaboration will easily mobilize resources. Once you have the right technology and you have the correct assets, it is easy to bring on board capital. And that is the collaboration that has been lacking.
Thank you for that. Okay, back to you, Gina. So you're here this week with a very sizable U.S. government and private sector delegation, including members of President Biden's Advisory Council on Doing Business in Africa, and a delegation of executives with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. What does this tell us about the breadth and the depth of the U.S.-Kenya, U.S.-Africa relationship? And what have some of the insights that they have had? I think the President and I have talked about the narrative on Africa being 20 years old. Yeah. He referenced it. And now that you're here, you see the dynamism, you see the opportunity, you see the youth. I'd be interested to know what it means in terms of the government about the delegation that you brought and what your ahas are about the narrative.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, the relationship isn't new. 60 years of diplomatic relations and close relationships. The President has said we have shared values, strong democracies, there's a lot of reasons we're close. But I think, candidly, on account of your leadership and on account of President Biden's leadership, I think after the 2022 African Leaders Summit, at the end of 2022, we've entered a new era of deeper integration. And it's coming at the perfect time because, as the President has said, Kenya is just really on the move. Talent, green energy, Silicon Savannah, good leadership. So it's a perfect time for us to enter this new era of deeper collaboration. And I think the companies see that. So of the 14 companies I brought with me, many have been doing business here for a long time. Cisco, Microsoft, MasterCard, they're no strangers to Kenya, but yet they're doubling down. Yeah. That's what we are hearing. And then we have new companies. Bayless is making a new investment. MBA is deepening. Pfizer. So what I have heard, and venture capitalists, we had a lunch yesterday with venture capitalists. Really, all the venture capitalists who are here are happy, right? They see the opportunity. They say there's a culture in Kenya where people aren't afraid to take risk and fail. So my job, our job, the three of us here, we have a job, which is to tell the story more back home. Yep. Let Silicon Valley know what is here. Let Wall Street know what is here. Let U.S. multilaterals know what is here. More exchange programs. Take more Kenyans to America to learn to come back. So I guess I'm just excited. You have the resources, you have the leadership. And also, last thing I'll say is you have, in terms of the green energy, the digital data center you just mentioned is a perfect example of what you call the win-win. It's a win-win-win. Yep. Every American company who is building a new data
apparel companies. That is good space because it is labor intensive. So it's good for us because we have a huge labor force that can fit in that space. So it provides jobs for us. It is good space in terms of providing job opportunities, but it also speaks to what we think as a government should be the value chain integration. Last year, 2022, we had 8,000 acres of land planting cotton. Last year, we did 40,000 acres. This year, we are doing 110,000 acres, and our focus for next year is 200,000 acres, so that we can provide the cotton for garments that will go into our special economic zones so that we don't have to import fabric from other quarters. Fabric can be found right here in Kenya. It will speak a lot to incomes to our farmers. It will speak a lot to our revenues in terms of tax. It will also speak tremendously to job opportunities created. So the apparel space is premium space for us. And we are not only thinking about how to make it work better, we are even considering how do we work with the power tariffs to make it much more easier for our investors in that zone to be able to produce much more competitively. That is the space we are working on, and that is the reason why we keep engaging with that sector.
I am really excited about the vertical integration into cotton. We have Governor Gladys Wanga here from Homa Bay, who is leading the charge, frankly, on bringing back cotton as a major crop here. Okay, we're coming to the closing minutes here, but Gina, with all the various capabilities of the Commerce Department, which I don't think I really understood even until you came, what are some of your key tools that you can deploy with African countries like Kenya? Tell the audience a little bit about what the Commerce Department does to really further trade between the US and Kenya and back the other way.
Yeah, thank you. It is a broad set of responsibilities, as you say. Everything from AI, so we're just standing up now the US AI Safety Institute. And in fact, while I'm here, we announced a new partnership as between Kenya and the US around AI. I think there's huge opportunities to collaborate there, to create jobs, but also set the standards of, rules of the road around our shared values. I think it's very important. We also, we've talked about AGOA, although I'm not the trade rep. It's certainly President Biden's priority, and we would like to support that to make sure that Congress renews AGOA. One of the things under my authority is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Protecting IP, so important. So we look forward to providing more assistance to the government, but to companies and entrepreneurs, so you know how to protect IP and value the protection of IP. But also, I would say my top priority is just getting U.S. private sector to invest in Kenya. That is the number one thing. Right now, for example, when I think of venture capital, and I was in the venture capital business, so I know a little bit about it, it's amazing how you're the top destination in Africa by dollar and per capita for U.S. venture capital. That's not by accident. They like to be here. They make money here. They do well here. So
people like to live in Kenya, too.
And people like to live in Kenya. So, my job is let's do more. If I could just expose the benefits here, this time we have 14 companies, bring more companies, more investment, that would be, my top priority.
All right, Mr. President, last question. So you've done a tremendous amount, at least since I've been here, to improve the business climate. You mentioned the 9 initiatives that you announced at last year's summit. And those were mostly focused on tech because Silicon Savannah was such an important part of the economy. But you've talked to me about the blue economy. You've talked to me about electric vehicles. You've talked to me about mining. Just say a couple of words about those sectors and maybe about tourism, which of course is 10% of the GDP, and then we'll wrap it up.
Thank you very much. And let me congratulate my sister for coming. I mean, the mere coming of Gina to Kenya is a huge stamp of approval that this partnership is mutual. And we don't take that for granted. And I am very happy that you have recruited her to join you in believing in Kenya. But we have scope. And let me say just 4 things before I answer your question or speak to the matter you have asked me. Number 1, to the American companies who are here, to investors who are here from different parts of the world, we believe that we have a value proposition that Kenya can make to you and your enterprises. Number 1, we have great talent here. We have a real good human capital. Whatever you want, if you want a good engineer, it doesn't take long to train them. A good financial person, somebody who can, different skills. And we are very keen on getting the standard of our education to the right level so that you can access our human capital and use their talent to grow your business. Number 2, we are a very tech-savvy country. So technology will help accelerate what you can do in your companies and Kenyans and the Kenyan ecosystem. We are consistently building on making sure that across the country we have fiber optic, we have access to digital space for e-commerce and for everything in between. Number 3, renewable energy is a very big asset. Many of companies who have ECG programs, they would want to decarbonize their enterprises. You have an opportunity to decarbonize some of your investments in other parts of the world by investing in Kenya and using our renewable energy. There is great proposition there. And finally, we are consistently working on improving the business environment. In fact, one leading agency positioned Kenya as the best investment destination in 2024. Maybe possibly that's why you guys are here. So I think that counts for something. And then finally, we are a democratic country. The president seated here doesn't have absolute power. You don't have to be my friend to do business in Kenya. You just have to follow the rules. We have working systems. We have a working judiciary. We believe in the rule of law. We protect people's business. And that is important for any business person to know that nobody will wake up one morning arbitrarily and do stuff that they don't like. So we protect people's investments. We believe in the same values as our good friends in America do, and that shared value makes us friends and makes us people who we can collaborate. Speaking to the space of mining, mining is a sleeping giant in Kenya. There is tremendous opportunity. We have just lifted a moratorium that had been put on mining. We have set the rules. We have put in place the regulations, and we are ready to go. So if there is any person in the space of mining, you have an opportunity in Kenya. And we have huge assets from cobalt to rare earth to many other important minerals. On blue economy, at the moment, the potential there is 120 billion Kenya shillings every year. We are only doing a fifth. So there is opportunity in that space. We are doing 20 billion at the moment. We can do 120 billion. There is space in the blue economy. There is space in the marine ecosystem. Again, we can work with American companies or other private sector actors in that space We have set the rules. We have put the investment environment in the right place, and there is opportunity there. And of course, tourism. It is rare to go to a place where, as you speak, the gods are giving you endorsement through rain. And if you wanted a witness, Gina is here. So Kenya is the cradle of humanity. The earliest remains of man in the world are found in Kenya. That is why you hear Ambassador here saying people like to live in Kenya, because Kenya is home to everybody. Yes, that's what it is. And it's not me saying, it is science saying that Kenya is the home of humanity. So we have a great tourist product, from the wildebeest migration in our national parks to our sandy beaches. And of course, we have made it easier for you to travel to Kenya. Today, you don't need a visa to come to Kenya. Just need to fill a small form. It takes about 7 minutes, and you will have the authorization to come to Kenya. So please, those of you who are listening to me from different parts of the world, you're welcome home to Kenya.
Thank you. Well, please give the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, a round of applause. Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, a round of applause. Thank you both very much. Thanks an awful lot. Great job. Thank you very much. All right.
Warm clap for them one more time. Thank you very much. Please take your seats very briefly. Your Excellency, with your permission, we just have a few photos we'd like to take on stage kindly before you exit. And the first one, if we can just have the three panelists have a photograph while we get the stage ready for that. And as the photographers do that, kindly we'll have the AmCham board next. So if we can have them prepare the AmCham board. We're just clearing the stage, so just give us a minute. We can just wait there. All right, thank you. If I may ask you to still remain there, and we have the AmCham board to join them. The AmCham board. And if we can also have the USG delegation come to the left of the podium so that we have you ready. The USG delegation. All right, thank you. I'll ask the board to exit to your right. Exit to the right kindly while we have the USG board coming in from the left. The USG delegation.